Sweet. Okay, all of you in the back can kind of see some of this. If you don't, just tell me and I'll make it bigger. All right, so we're gonna demonstrate like how your flow for setting up your homework will be. So we're gonna create a repo in GitHub and just under your own personal account. And then we're just gonna call it OK Coders, and then you're just gonna upload all of your homework to there. So you're just gonna take a screenshot and upload it there. And so if anybody's familiar with Git or GitHub or anything like that, we're not going to be using the command line or anything in this class. So it's all just going to be using the GitHub website to upload directly. Okay, so we're going to walk through that. Yeah, and I'll walk through right now, just creating repositories and everything like that. So we're going to go to your repositories in the top right corner of your thing here. You can say new repository. You can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it OK Coders. And for mine, I'm just going to put test because I'm sure I already have something like this. Homework. If anybody is not familiar with the term repository, that's just like a fancy word for the word folder. Okay, it's the same thing. So we'll just call this homework repo. I'll make it private, sure. If you guys just make your all public, and at the end of this, after everyone has their GitHub account set up, if you all just send me a link, and then I can come in and check all of these. So just make sure that this repository is public, okay? Okay, so then all this stuff you can just skip. None of this really matters that much. So you just say create repository, right? Okay, so then there's all of this nonsense. We don't have to care about any of this, okay? We're gonna say upload an existing file. So it brings you to this screen. And so this is the screen that you're going to want to be on every time you're going to submit your homework. So let's say I'm on this here. This is our homework, right? You just come to this screen. So you should have all blue check marks, right? And you're just going to take it and you can just screenshot. Nope. Just take a screenshot of that. And then you can just come here and just paste that in here. Sweet. And you say just day one homework, okay? And you just say commit changes. And that'll be uploading it, and you can look in here. And I've got a screenshot of the homework, okay? So that's just going to be your regular flow for submitting your homework every week.
Is there a way to go back? You've moved on to the next cafe project to see those numbers? Okay.
Yeah, they'll stay there. They'll stay there.
Okay.
Welcome. Do you want to join a group? Let's see.
I joined the group that had a open seat.
Awesome, perfect. Yeah, that one looks great. What is your name?
Annie Allman.
Annie.
Just like the name.
What group was that? The fully stacked, yeah. Sweet. Yeah, and so then after you have this here, you should be able to, like, let's say that was a screen for the first time, but now you're on your second homework or whatever. So you can come back here, and whenever you say I want to add a file, you can just click this here and just say upload files, and it'll take you back to that screen. Sweet. Does anyone have any questions about that? Kind of straightforward. I wanted to teach Git and how to do this all and like the command line and all that stuff, but it's one thing at a time, right? But we will be learning that in this course, probably within the JavaScript module somewhere. But for now, this is going to be how we're just going to upload and everything. We recorded it too, so we can watch it back. Okay, so that's the homework flow. Also, on anyone virtually, if you have any questions throughout this, feel free to ask. And anybody in the room also feel free to just raise your hand. And if Zach can come to you, or we can, it doesn't matter. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. Kill that, kill this. So that's good. Okay. So just a show of hands, like who has worked with HTML at all before? Yeah. So if anyone who hasn't, HTML is a pretty basic language. It's kind of feel maybe pretty rudimentary as we're going through this. I am muted.
The bottom left of your.
No, I'm not muted.
I hear
Yeah,
him.
that's yours.
That's part of the rally control.
Cool. So yeah, HTML, it's kind of a basic language. I was kind of trying to look into like a history of like why we use HTML in the browser. Didn't get a lot. But basically, HTML is just, it's what the browser understands, what like any web browser is built on and uses to display any kind of anything at all. So if you just go to this page, even GitHub, right? So you can hit on Mac, I don't know about Windows, but if you hit Command-Option-I, you can come into this tab here, and you can check out this Elements tab, and this will show you the HTML for the page, and you can do this on any web page, anywhere, right? And so this is just kind of what HTML looks like. There's a lot of stuff happening here, so we won't break it down right now. But everything in the web is HTML, and so after you know base HTML, base CSS, you could make anything really. Like the world's your oyster. It's without JavaScript, which we'll learn later, it's going to be just putting stuff on a page. It's not going to do anything. And so later we'll add the ability to like, interact with it and change things and make buttons, do things and stuff like that, right? Okay, so let's just go ahead and start breaking down what HTML looks like, and also, yeah. So we'll make a new file here. You're welcome to follow along or don't follow along, either ways, it's okay. So there's a standard in pretty much all web practices to name files index. So we'll go ahead and do that here. And the .html, it could be .js, anything. That's what tells VS Code what the file type is. It's like .png or anything like that, right? So this lets this lets it know that it's an HTML file. So every HTML file will have what looks like this. And you see I have an extension here that closed it for me. So this is what's called an element. VS Code, yeah, what's that? So this is what's called an element. For you guys who have done HTML, it's like pretty familiar, right? So this is a tag, is what this is called, and this is a closing tag, and that's notated by having this /. What is this doing? All right, so inside of this HTML, you're going to have a body, and you're going to have a head. So every HTML document starts like this. And so this is what's called just like boilerplate. This just gets put on every single HTML document you'll ever write. The head is for just any kind of content that is about the page itself. And the body is for any kind of content that will actually be displayed on the page, right? Live server. Yeah. Yeah. So if you go to this right here, inside of VS Code, that's your extension tab. And then if you just type live server inside of that search bar and then install that, yeah. Sweet. And so we can go ahead and look at like what live server does, just like with this, right? So if you right click any HTML file and you have live server installed, this will pop up in your context menu and you can just say open with live server. And so like now we've got a just blank page because there's no content on it at all. But anytime you make changes to this, it'll show up in your browser under 127.0. This is localhost, right? And you can see like it makes a path for it there. It's like this is the path to that file. Okay, so inside of here, we're going to go ahead and talk about what's that? Take a pause, yeah.
So
Yeah. So that we were on the browser, you were playing like the.
Here.
Yeah, like that page, how do you?
So that's using live server. So if I stop my live server here, so if you,
Does everybody have VS Code? So don't worry about GitHub at the moment. Just focus on getting, so we'll help with GitHub after class.
yeah, that's just for submitting the homework and
Yeah.
stuff.
So mainly, so does everybody have VS Code open? And then just make a file in VS Code. So you should have made an index.html. So who doesn't have that at the moment? Okay, just good.
Yeah.
Alright, so everybody has an index.html? Okay, and then. Can you show the open live server one?
Yeah, so if you're on any HTML file, if you right click, it'll bring you this menu. And if you have it installed, then it'll say open with live server. So you can just click that. And then that'll open up your browser and you'll have this page.
Okay, so.
Oh, it's kind of slow, huh?
Everybody gonna open class. Yeah.
Oh, you, hit open folder, you can make a copy of this, and then we can edit it.
I didn't realize this is so behind.
Open it. Open folder.
Did anybody get an error about me opening?
You can put the,
Yeah, button that we're like open a folder in the Linux code.
on the desktop. Call it, okay, we're gonna do whatever.
That's the folder one.
Organize my fault. It doesn't matter what the whole name is. Yeah.
That's correct.
Good. Okay.
Okay, does everybody have that? Everybody has Slack server working? Okay.
Sweet. Okay. Okay, so for anyone who's missed that first part, getting caught up, right? So we have every HTML file will have the same structure. It's going to have an HTML element that is going to consist of a tag, which means it's wrapped, a word in here is wrapped in this open and close less than, greater than, right? And so this is what makes a tag. This is an opening tag and a closing tag. You can see like this line right here is because they're connected. And you see this one doesn't have a line because it's wrapped, but anyways. And so that's good. Okay. So inside of body, this is where all of your content will live. So you'll put all of your any elements and tags that are relevant to what you want to actually show up on the page. And so now we're just going to walk through like what some of the basic elements are, right? So we can go ahead and start out with a H1. Okay, and so inside of the H1, you can type just plain text in here. So we can say content here, or really header here. Okay. And so if we go back to our browser, now you see this shows up. And so this has what they call hot reload. And so whenever you make a change inside of VS Code, it'll automatically show up here. You don't have to refresh the page or anything, right?
Just save it.
Yeah, you do have to save it, which command save, control S, command S is saving. Mhm. If you want to, yeah. Yeah, I learn better following along. So like I type everything and that helps me learn, but I mean, everyone's welcome to just watch if you're a visual learner or, you know, anything that is comfortable for you.
Yeah, if it's too fast for you to follow along, then you can potentially rewatch the recording, pause it, things like that. We'll put them on YouTube.
Or tell me to slow down also. Oh, okay, so I have. This is something that's not required, but it might also help you. So I have like a ton of extensions here. This is so big. So the ones that I use, one is prettier. And so this is what's just called a formatter. So all of my stuff will automatically, like, you know, set up like how you see it over there, because it knows how to read HTML files and knows what they should look like. So we can go over maybe at the end of class, just like setting up extensions and stuff like that. The other thing, I also have auto close tag, auto rename tags. That means like if I have something like it's called head here, I put something there, it'll also change this one. Those are easy to install. So if you just, you know, look up auto close tag, auto rename tag in here, and if you want those, then, you know, those are there. Yeah, auto close tag is like you type, you know, something, and then it'll put that there also. And I really cannot work without it at this point. So yeah, which like if you're doing in like in your homework, I think that environment has some of this stuff built in, but on your local, it won't. Mhm. 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 Yeah, so that's the other thing about HTML is you could write an entire website just like this, and it doesn't matter, right? So all of the white space is just for you. And so everything could be in one line and that would work. Yeah. It's just, this is for developers. So for you coming back or someone reading your code so they can, you know, understand what's happening. Just easier to read it. All right, okay, so let's talk about what this tag is here. So in H1, stands for header, and 1 is basically its importance, and 1 being the highest importance. And so that means we have a header 1 here. So you can see, let's go ahead and make just the most basic tag is a div. And so if we compare the difference between them here, so this is something in a div. Okay, so inside of the div, you can see it looks a lot different, right? There's, oh yeah, this is tiny. Good, huh? So something in a div is not bold, and this is bold. And so that's what the header is doing, is that it makes everything that's inside of a H tag of any size is bold. And also you see all this space here, that's coming from the header, the H1. It automatically puts a margin or, you know, space on top and on bottom of this element. Okay, so if you say you don't have something you want to be this big, but you still want it to be bold and have the space around it, there's also something called an H2. And so this is, we'll just say H2 because there's going to be a bunch. So it's a little bit smaller, still has a space around it, is still bold, right? We're going to say we have an H3, and this goes all the way to H6. So H4, 4, H5. And we'll just write all these out so we can just see the difference between all of them, right? So you can see they gradually get smaller. This one's like almost smaller than the regular text. I think it actually is. I've never seen anybody use probably anything less than an H3. You'd probably just use a div at that point. So these are here and they're useful and they use pretty often. So it's important to know about those. What are some other important tags? We've also got a div, right? And so the important thing about a div is I think it just stands for like division, divide, something like that, right? And so this is just there to break up content, but it really is like everything in HTML visually is just a div with more stuff on it. And so the div is just like the most basic element. And so anytime you want to break up anything, you can just put it inside of a div, right? And so this is really just a div that has browser default styles that are applied to it, right? And so it makes it bold and it makes it have space on top and bottom, and also changes the font size to be bigger. And so what is doing that is the browser is determining, every browser styles everything on your web page how it thinks should be styled based on the browser's default style. So if you're using Chrome, it's going to say, okay, whenever I see an H1, I'm going to determine how big that should be. I'm going to determine, you know, what the space around it should be and everything like that. And so that's why this looks like that, is the browser is looking at your tag and it says, okay, when I see an H1, here's how it's supposed to look. And so Chrome is doing that. Okay, so let's look at other tags. Let's say I've got something that is just regular content that's going to go in a P tag. P stands for paragraph. And so you say like this is some content, right? And so this looks pretty similar to a div. The only difference in a P tag is it is what is called, it's not block level. Can I hide this? You guys can't even see this. I'll just move it really far out of the way. Cool. Also, I'm not like a genius, and so I don't know everything ever, right? And no developer does. And so it's important to understand that, you know, you're not less of a developer if you like look at documentation. That's a really important part of the job. And so whenever, you know, you need to know about something like a P tag that I don't know everything about, you can say HTML P tag. Great resource that will come up. There's kind of two of the top ones are Mozilla and W3. We can just do Mozilla now. Okay, so this is kind of tell you about it, right? So it's a block level element, which means that it's not going to be inline. That's the word I was looking for, right? What are two of these? Kill this one. So if I say, we can skip it. So yeah, it's basically block level. And what that means is that I will need to show the difference to something that's not block level, right? Which means we need to look at the next tag, which is like a span. And so a span, this is not block level. So let's say we have two of these, right? If we look at our browser, you see how they're right next to each other. This is two separate tags, but they didn't go to the next line like how all of these other things did. And that's because these are what is the word for that? Oh, here's all of them. Cool. Inline element. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, so span is an inline element, which means that it's not going to take up the entire line. It's just going to fit within other things, and it's just going to sit next to everything else, right? Okay, so what are some other cool tags? Let's check our little cheat sheet here. We've got an image. So image is a special kind of tag. So far, everything here looks exactly the same, right? It's a opening tag, a closing tag, and some stuff that goes in the middle, right? So an image is a special kind of tag. They don't want to close that for me. Okay. So an image is a special kind of tag in that it has what are called attributes. So that means these are special things that the tag needs to know that are like kind of properties of that element itself, right? Does anybody can maybe tell me like what attributes go on an image?
Yours.
Source, yeah, that's the big one I'm looking for there. So an attribute is written like this. So it's gonna have basically a space apart from the name. That's pretty standard. And then it's gonna just be whatever the attribute name is, an equal sign, and then quotation marks. Okay, so inside of the source for an image, we're going to basically put the path to get that image. So let's do that. So I went ahead and dropped a PNG in here. So we could just say, okay, coders logo PNG. We can walk through so you guys can all have an image locally too. So there's a great website called Unsplash. Unsplash. And so this is just free, like high-res images that people post on here. And so you can just, pull from here, right? So I just take this and copy it. And you go to my file and paste it in here, if it will let me. Oh, well, so I'll download it. Broken. Never seen that before. Okay, so this is the file that I got. I'm just going to drag this into my stuff. I'm also really bad with Finder because I only use other stuff. Why can't I drag this? Does anybody know? Can I move it? There we go. Go in there. Where'd it go? I don't know. I don't think that's worth the time, but what I can do is I can just take this, copy that image, we'll paste it in Slack. Maybe. Okay, sweet, there we go. Okay, so now I've uploaded this to our cohort Slack. So if you guys just want to download that and put it inside of that same folder with your application, you can do that. Or any image you have at all that is next to this file will work. This chat. Okay. What is this? URLs are good. I don't know why. Sure, okay. Does that work? I don't know why that's not. Maybe there's something wrong with Unsplash or something. Seems like it's fine, but it's not giving that image. Yeah, so I'll just leave that one there for an example of URL, right? So here we'll say, you see like it's auto-filling for me there because I already have that image there. So we will get that image, paste it in here. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I think Annie said there's other attributes here that are things like width. So we can go ahead and put a width on here and say something like 200 pixels. And now it's smaller. Okay, so now we've got an image. This also is notably also an inline element like the spans. And so it is sitting next to all of our other things that are inline elements like these other two spans right here. Okay, if we comment this one out, command / is a comment. We won't talk about comments too much right now, but is this frozen? I think it's frozen.
You're moving.
I know, but it doesn't look like mine. Like line 15 is commented out on mine, but it's not up there somehow. Well, my mouse is moving. Okay, sure. Okay, so I'll uncomment the top one. Okay, sure. Now it gets it. All right, so now if you look here, there's something wrong with that URL, which will happen from time to time, which is what that little tiny box is. That's basically saying, hey, your image wasn't showing. And so another important attribute on an image is what is called an alt. And so this basically says it does two major purposes. One is whenever there's an error loading the image, it will display whatever text you put inside of here. So this is basically a caption for the image that will never be displayed if everything goes properly. The other big thing is for accessibility, which meaning people who, can't use, like maybe are visually impaired or something, and are using something like a screen reader. Well, they won't be able to see an image, but they still need to, know what the content on the page is. And so that will basically say, like, it'll read the alt to them. So it's important for every image that you write, it has a good alt on it. So for this one, we'll say some image that isn't loading, which obviously you'd want to do something better than that, right?
Isn't it a legal requirement? That's
I don't really know the legality of it. There's definitely a big push right now to, incorporate a lot of accessibility into websites, because for a long time people just kind of haven't. And so there's a lot of what they call technical debt that they need. Everybody on the web, on the internet, basically needs to go and update all of their websites to make them more accessible. But there is definitely a large push for that right now. So that's important, and it's easier to do it just from the beginning, so you don't have to go back and do it, right? So we'll go ahead and just comment this one out since it's broke. I'll just leave it here. Okay, so now we've got our OkCoder's image back, and we've got this back. So let's say we don't want them on the same line. What can you do? Well, first of all, we can go back to our div tag. And so the div is a block level tag, and you can wrap anything in anything in HTML. So what that means is that I can say, I want a div here, and you can open it up like that. Nope.
So everything's completely frozen, everyone's following along, right?
That's
okay,
great.
use it for,
Ideas, Zach?
We stop sharing and.
Yeah. Okay, we're caught up. This is really slow. Okay, so here's what I added right here. Thanks for that. Oh, you can't even see what I'm notating to. 15 to 17 is what I added, right? I wrapped that image tag in a div. And so what that's doing is saying, hey, I've got this image, but it's being wrapped, and it is what is called the child. And so this is creating like a relationship between these two elements. The div is around the image, and so that makes it the parent, and the image is the child, right? And so if we go here now, you can see this has been moved down to the next level, and because now it is a block level element. All right, so let's look at what else we got here. Nice. So there's another important tag that is an A tag catch up. This kind of sucks. It's not my favorite. Maybe it's worth Zach, should I just trade spots with your laptop?
It's just like continuing freezing.
Yeah, it's just like so behind.
Would you stop sharing?
Sure.
Also close Slack.
And then you try sharing again. See if it's any better.
Yeah, I guess it's fine. We'll try it until,
Yeah, it starts.
okay.
You'll have to sit there.
Yeah, I was just gonna plug my laptop in over there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so let's write in a tag. Sorry, I got these controls on my way again. Okay, so does anybody know what an A tag is? Anchor, yeah, right. So what is important on an anchor? An href, right? Okay, so the href is going to be basically where you're linking to, right? And so we could just say, you know, even just google.com can go here. And you can just say link to Google. Nice. And I'm going to do this like this. Oops. Oh, I need the full thing, huh? Did I kill my live server? I think I did. Let's do this. Stop. Open. Sorry, guys. It's like so behind. I'm trying to work in a way that you guys can keep up with me. Okay, so yeah, now I've got just like a link to Google. Should open Google.
Is it behind again?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna plug in over there.
I think there's like a super long HDMI cable actually,
How long?
like 30 feet.
Yeah, we do that too.
So I've got this close here. Pretty bad. I got a really short hair.
I guess we'll stay up here then. Yeah, well, we can take a brief pause while we figure that out. Does anybody have any questions? Like I said, HTML is pretty straightforward at this stage of it, especially after you've been through free code camp and stuff. This kind of feel pretty basic.
Why don't we just take a 5-minute break real quick?
Sure.
Get that set up.
Yeah,
Use
that's
the
fine.
restroom or Get a coffee or water, then do that now.
Okay, so people on the call, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. Get a HDMI cord long enough to reach.
The same in the next one. Yeah, my bad. It's like a, I don't know if I do that too, but I don't know. I mean, it's pretty wide. Yeah. Without it, you have to request the data. That's true, yeah. You kind of. Like standard file structure that most places like to use. Found out. That's kind of depend on the organization.
Do you mean,
As far as this organization, where your pages and all your.
Yeah, so-
Like that.
yeah, for like, yeah, it's pretty standard folders, like, you know, for anything that's like a top level, well, outside of HTML, right? Because a place like that wouldn't use HTML, but you'd have a thing that's like holding all of your pages, like each high level view of just like
There's
this
that.
correlates to slash friends on Facebook or slash contacts, right? So that'd be like a contacts page. And so that would all just go in like a pages folder, and there'd be like an assets folder for all of your images and stuff that are, you know, yeah. Or like,
I didn't know if they would typically like, this is the. Add an image folder like for groups of project or bigger.
right, yeah, there will be, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a. There is a lot of, and that's like an opinionated thing too, you know, and there's a lot of people who like to have it a specific way and like naming files in a specific way and. Generally, like, I like to just follow what people in the industry do. And so like Airbnb will put out all of their guidelines for how they file and structure everything. I'm plugged in, yeah.
Maybe just try this one.
It changed my my resolution on my screen. So I think it knows. You want to pull out?
Pull it out.
Good. Yeah. It is, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, especially if you've never seen it or interacted with it, yeah. 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 The free code camp stuff will really walk you through all of the stuff, you know. Right. Right, yeah. Yeah. It's got a little light on right here.
What is that?
Output, input. Is it going the wrong way? Like I need the other end or something?
It's possible, not is they, stuff to make it work, yeah. It's possible, it's a one-made thing.
So we should flip it?
Yeah, because that, yeah, I think so. Oh, careful.
Oh. It's not that now. Well, it's commentators. That's right. And it's not. Can you unplug and plug back in? It's like, it's thinking about it.
Wait, no. I was moving. I know.
Oh, the word that like Python.
There's a quick look up how.
There's something wrong with my. Yes.
Every time I do something.
So it's all in there like. Or like, intelligence, yeah. Somebody you can question about. It runs under that screen.
So we're gonna end up uploading like all this folders and stuff as well.
Eventually. Like for this first stuff, not really. I think I'm trying to figure it out, like the best way to have everybody, right? Yeah. Yeah. You could upload everything this way. Yeah, I'm plugged in.
Hey.
Yeah. Show my screen.
Nobody's your phone.
It's a little flickery. A lot faster though. And it's gone. And it's back. Okay. Okay.
You stop moving wheels just to see if it put her ass on that.
It does.
Okay. We'll move that out, Raj.
Nobody move.
It's not so bad. Yeah.
Right.
I can also just sit over there and yell at everybody.
So it's not a good connection.
The HDMI cable, because it's longer than 25 or 30 feet, it has some setting for the frequency of it. We can probably do that after lunch if you want, unless that's too distracting.
Why don't you just sit there?
Okay,
We can bring that time about there.
Do you need us to move down a line, or move across the way?
Yeah.
yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Oh shit, don't. Do with that, HDMI cord. Sweet. All right, this is fine. You know, it's not the most ergonomic setup, but it'll work. All right, so we've got back to it. So we wrote an A tag, right? We had a link to Google. And so that's working fine, right? Let's go back to our browser and show that. I'm sorry, it's killing me. Boom. Okay, so we got our link to Google. It should work. Takes us to Google. Nice. All right, so let's keep learning some other tags. So these two, UL and OL, right? So we've got a UL. Does anybody know what that stands for? Wow. It's like a choir in here. Okay, so we've got an unordered list, and that consists of what? List items, right? And so inside of here, we're going to have as many list items as you want. And so let's say just item 1. I'm going to use some cheat codes here. All right, so we've got some list items inside of our unordered list. Let's go back to the browser. And there you see that there. And so again, this is Google Chrome determining how to handle an unordered list with list items, and it's determining what the bullet should look like and everything like that. Everybody can see that at the bottom is kind of low. Here I can we can work upside down if we want.
Hey, Braden, can you share your screen, please?
Oh yeah, that would be important, huh? Let's do that. I thought I did go back to it. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, guys.
No worries, thanks.
Okay, so for the people on the call, we just wrote out this unordered list with 3 list items there. And that is going to look like, did I save this? That's going to look like this here. Okay, so the alternative to an unordered list is an ordered list. And so that will be the OL tag. Also can have the same list items inside. Item, I don't know, 4.
How do you do that?
That is Option Shift down. Yeah. Oh, this is completely unrelated, but I decided to try out Windows for a little bit, and the fact that I couldn't hit Command Backspace to delete a line was driving me crazy. So there's that. So yeah, it adds this 1, 2, 3, and you can see it kind of treats them different. They're not actually just text. You can't like highlight them and hover them and stuff. And so now we have an unordered list and an ordered list. Things like this are, you know, maybe for accessibility, you could make, if you just look at anything like this, right? You've got 3 things that are in a row. Unordered list and ordered list don't necessarily have to have these bullets, or they don't have to have this. This is the browser putting that in there, and you can tell it not to. And so these could be for accessibility. You could say, I've got a I've got a thing up here, I've got a nav bar, and it's got 3 items in this list, and so you could build it like that if you wanted to. Sweet. Let's talk about some of the more complicated stuff. So these are all just like, you know, put them there and they work. These final 2 ones, forms and tables, these are like the most complicated stuff. And generally, I would not write them out raw like this. I would try to have them extracted away, but it's important to understand, you know, like the core components underneath, right? So let's write out do a table first. Does anybody know what the I think it's just table, right? Yeah, sweet. So what goes inside of a table? A row, sweet. So the tag for a row is TR, table row. What goes inside of a table row? I don't remember. Table HTML. TH, yeah. TD.
Yeah.
Table data, nice. TD. So this is going to be cell 1, cell 2, cell 3. I'll try not to shortcut everything because you got to type it along. Okay, so here we're going to make these. This is another special thing. I think this should work on Windows too, but if you hit a Command D or whatever the equivalent is on Windows, you can highlight all of those and change them all. So it's TH head error 1. Sweet. Let's see what that looks like. Nice. Okay, so we've got defining the heads of the columns with the header 1, header 2, header 3, and we've got the cells, cell 1, cell 2, cell 3, and we can do the same below this just to duplicate this. So 4, 5, and 6. And now it looks like a table. Like I said, I don't know how to do this really because I never have had a need to write out a table manually in HTML. It's just not something that you would do in like a workplace setting. But if you were going to build a library or something that would help other people so that they didn't have to build it, then you'd need to know how to do this. And so this would be the foundation of what you were building, right? Awesome. So let's talk about forms now. So a form is special because it actually isn't anything. Like there's nothing here that is the form, right? It is just kind of a wrapper for, I guess we kind of forgot the other very basic but really important tag, which is an input. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So inside of a form or outside of a form, doesn't matter. We can have this input tag. This is also something that's kind of small, but like images, like say this image here, this is a self-closing tag. And so that means that it doesn't have a closing tag, it closes itself. And so that's notated by inside of the opening tag, there's just a slash before it. That is technically, you don't have to have that in some cases you do. I think it's just determined on what is loading is. So like if we were on like here, show me an image right there. Yeah, so like see here they don't have it, but also you could put it there and it would work the same either way. For me, I always put it in there just because it feels correct, so I put it in there. Awesome. So yeah, we've got an input. What goes on an input? Type, sure. So we can talk about the different input types. So I think the default is text, and we can go ahead and check out what is in different kinds of inputs. Input, HTML. Nice. So here are all of the available types that are on an input, and it's kind of showing you what they look like here. And so this is all again determined by the browser to decide what exactly that should look like. So you've got a button, and it creates just a little button. It looks like these actually work. Cool. So you got checkbox, color, date, time, email, file, hidden. Some of these are kind of cool, like email. One, it tells things like your autofill, that is what kind of input this is. So it knows that, hey, I'm trying to use an email here. File gives you this whole UI to upload files. That's pretty important. Hidden, this is something that's actually used pretty often. If you have maybe like an image upload, but that is being handled separately, but there still needs to be an underlying input to handle the value of that. So that you could use this to hold the value that the user's inputting, but hide it, right? Image input, similar. A lot of these are pretty much just never even used, but they exist. And so if you ever need to, figure out what kind of input, then you could always just come back to this website. It's good and important to reference the docs, right? Okay, so let's keep moving. So we've got, we could do some of the more common ones, like number input, right? Let's make an input, give it the type equal to number. And so that adds this right here, right? So the value can only be a number, an integer, really. Well, can I? Yeah, any number. But I can't type any letters or anything into it, right? So it has some restrictions on it. It's making sure that, you're not going to break it by trying to type in text. Sweet. Okay, so let's talk about also buttons real quick before we talk about what the form itself does. So we can do a button. And it's also important to note that there was a type of button on the input, and I've never seen anyone need to do that. You would just write a button like this, but if you wanted to, then it's there also. So the button will have text inside of it. It's gonna, click me, something like that. And so, there it is. And so things like buttons and forms, they will be more important once we learn JavaScript. And so that will be adding functionality to the page. So for now, we just have raw HTML. So this is just a button that doesn't do anything. It looks like this is the form. Let's see if I move this outside of here, what happens. Yeah, awesome. So this is some fun stuff about the form here. The default behavior of a form is to take in some text in whatever the inputs are, and then whenever the form is submitted, to refresh the page. And so if we put this back inside, right, save that from over here, you can see whenever I'm clicking this little thing right here is flashing at the top because it is submitting the form, and then which currently has no functionality to it, but is doing the browser's default of refreshing. You can also see the form put everything in line, even things that weren't in line. So like the button itself is sitting out here and it is coming down, but all of the inputs got stored inside of the form on the same level, right? Sweet. Okay, so that's the form. That's pretty much all. We're just kind of glance over it for now until we really get into JavaScript and updating forms and submitting forms and doing stuff like that, right? We can talk about a label real quick. Let's do, I think they were talking about it up here. Yeah. So if you want to have something like this in your form to say, what that input is for, then that is what the label is doing. I'm just gonna go. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, it's probably tiny, huh? Yeah, so there you go. So that's what a label looks like, and we'll go ahead and just kind of copy in some of this here. So let's go back over here. Let's say we've got an input that's going to just be let's talk about the attributes that go on an input, right? So you can see here, it's got name, type, and then we'll talk about what ID means. So type, it's just going to be the text. Name will be, we'll just make it name. Kind of funny, but name, like it's going to take in someone's first name. Which is what they did here also. Also, if we look at the browser, let me differentiate. Okay, yeah. So this one is the one I'm working on right here, right? You can see that it has a name of name, but it also doesn't do anything at all. It's just another thing for accessibility. Whenever they're looking at a form and a screen reader, it'll say, hey, this input is for name. That's kind of telling it, you know, how to read it. Okay, and so then we're going to give this what is called an ID, and we'll talk about what that means. So ID, the name. So name. So this is an identifier to say, hey, this input is for name. And so that means it's an identifier for other pieces of your code to know how to act, like how to get that element, how to talk to the element, how to access it, right? And so whenever we write this label component over here, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this in real quick. Okay, so this label says, okay, I've got a label and it's got an attribute called for. And oh yeah, this is the other thing with VS Code that's super cool. You can hover things. And so it'll give you, you know, quick information about really anything you're hovering, right? So, oh yeah, there's also this here. I forgot about that. So there's an MD and reference that is linked in here. So let's say I'm on a label and I want to click on that. This will take me to the reference, the same documentation I'm looking for the label itself. Awesome. Okay, so this says it's for name. And so what that means is, this is lowercase. What that means, it's not looking for this, it's looking for this ID, right? And so I said, I've got a label for name. And so that is also for accessibility to let it know like, hey, this label is labeling this input, and so that they're tied to each other. And so that's what that looks like. That shows up there. So this could be like, you know, there's also cool stuff that is built in the input, like placeholder, which is going to be like, enter your name. And so that puts that there. So it's like whenever there's nothing there, you know, awesome. Cool. So that's some good stuff there. I don't think I want to go too much deeper on some of these basic stuff. Let's talk about inline versus block real quick, just as a concept level. Does everyone understand kind of the difference between block level and inline level? So block level means it's going to take the full width of its container. It's going to be just whatever, and that's also important too, right? So this is these kind of are going to go hand in hand. So I'm going to make a div. I guess the best way is we can explain those with this. And so this is like faking CSS. It's not something you do in like a production code, but HTML has the access to write style tags. So we're not going to go too deep onto what a style tag is capable of doing until we'll learn CSS after today. Before Wednesday, that'll be your homework, is learning basic CSS. And then we'll start learning basic CSS on Wednesday, right? But so there's a style tag that you can put in here. So let's go to the bottom down here. And we're just going to make a div. And you can put a style tag on any element at all, and you can change any about it. And so we can just say, hey, look, it even gave us a bunch of options here. So we say like background color, and we can say blue. Nice. And so this div also has nothing in it. And so background color blue means nothing to it because it has no size. So we can say something inside of here is just going to be a, why don't we just put our little thing up in here. Nice. Okay, so that's what the style tag's doing. It lets you Yeah, sure. Sweet, okay. So yeah, this is a block level container. And also now we can see, since it's background color blue, you can see exactly what that means. That it's taking all the way up, all the way to the right, because its container is that entire width, right? And so let's say from maybe this span right here, let's give it the same. Style is background color green. Sure, it's a great color. There we go. So that is taking exactly the width of its content, and it's not going to be any more or any less. And so now you can, that kind of shows that the div itself is not just named to the click me, it's all the way across. And that's because it's block level, and the green one, the span, is just its content itself. And it's inline, right? The other concept that we wanted to kind of talk about was just nesting. And so that is just kind of this concept of these things they can live inside and they can go forever. You can nest infinite divs, like we've got HTML or we got div inside of body inside of HTML, and all this stuff's inside of that div. And so there's no end to how deep it can get. And so you can keep making it deeper and deeper and deeper. Sweet. Okay, so I think that's pretty much good for basic HTML. Just that's kind of most of the tags that we'll use on a regular basis. I think got some time, right? The final thing I wanted to do is I just like pulled up this Starbucks here, right? I was trying to find the simplest way to just kind of do something like this. So maybe as a group, you all can kind of code together. We're just going to want to make this right here. Don't have to worry about, you can use the style tag to change the background color if you want, but we just want to make this box and make it look like this, right? So there's going to be a header here. There's going to be some text here. There's going to be a list here, and then a button at the bottom. The button, we don't know any CSS, so the button's not going to be round and pretty like that. But just as a group, let's all try to work on that. And then at the end, I'll do it as well. And then at the end, we'll all just compare and see what it looks like, okay? So maybe, no. Just, yeah, ignore this image over here completely. Just make this box in CSS and or in HTML, not CSS. Sweet. Okay. If you want to flip those lights back, please. You can do the same. Yeah, whatever you're working on. Yeah.
Hey, everyone like give a thumbs up or something. Thank you.
Fuck. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, that's also important, huh? Oh, that's. I slacked you guys the link to that.
Yeah, that's that one.
I feel so much more nervous teaching HTML than I did speaking Mongo. It's so much harder to write it. Yeah,
Hello?
it's like, yeah.
Am I
So
talking on
dragged
speakers
away.
or am I talking on class?
You're just on yourself.
Am I in your earbud?
No, you're welcome to, you guys are welcome to talk amongst each other.
Okay. All right. Autograph. Be right back.
I'll mute myself. Sorry.
Oh man, he turned off the cheat sheet.
Yeah, it's not that easy.
I think, who is it? Me and you, Grant? I guess we'll just,
Yeah,
Did
if
we-
one of you guys wanted to just share your screen for each other and then you guys could work together.
Sounds good. I'm gonna add you guys on Slack here, so we have like a group chat thing too. Zach was wanting me to add both of you guys. What
yeah,
was your
I have like
first-
no idea how to use Slack.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
familiar with like Discord, so I've never used Slack. So how do I add
It's like Discord, but better.
I get it seems
Debatable,
better.
but-
I didn't even create an account, but apparently I have an account. So that's why I was like, what?
What was that?
Never mind. Never mind.
So just take that,
All right.
top
Grant,
right
do you know
box
how to
there.
add me?
and you're just gonna.
Yeah, what's your first and last name?
Let's see.
Yeah, right.
I think I can find you in the
If you like go to like the class list or whatever, if you want to add, it doesn't really matter, but Zach was just wanting me to add both you guys to a group chat thing for our,
right.
team.
Is that a huddle?
Well, we'd go into a call if it was a huddle,
Yeah.
but I think if you just send me a DM real quick if you can. Okay, got your message. I like the profile picture. All right, so let me see. Mason.
Oh yeah, I think that new season just came out. I gotta watch that.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I wasn't sure if they were doing
Yeah, I think
releasing the whole season or just a weekly episode.
I think
so-
weekly. I think
yeah.
weekly. I think it just came out though, season 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I can add you.
What was your name? Julie? Julie? Nice to meet you. Where you at?
I don't know how to like add you as a friend. I
Oh,
can
really?
chat you.
Yeah, I don't know if you can on here.
Oh, you went through OK coders?
I guess it-
Yeah, I added you to the.
I think.
team
Oh yeah,
chat.
yeah. Sick.
2018 maybe? Maybe it's 2017, I don't remember. I think
That's
it's
what we needed.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I gotta figure out how to use this, dude.
What was your degree in?
I'm so used to Discord. I'm gonna mute Braden.
So you're just not overachiever then. You wanna do double.
okay, let's see real quick. I'm gonna pull up that Starbucks. Site.
All right, here we go. So we're doing Starbucks.
Yeah, he
Yeah, I
was
think
wanting us to kind of just make that little,
that button thing on the right.
yeah.
I bet you busted that out in like 2 seconds, didn't you?
I haven't even started yet. I've been getting
Okay.
all my stuff organized here.
Yeah, I'm trying to too.
I think adjusting to the workflow is always the tricky part when you first get started at these boot camps. So
Dude, I haven't done school in a very long time, so it's
Yeah.
it's definitely new. I did add all those extensions he had on this, and it like made it so easy, like
Mhm.
to like autofill, like not having to close stuff.
Yeah.
Feels like cheating. Like I feel like I'm not learning by having it like that.
well, you say that now there's probably going to be like, we're going to be out of a job if this AI stuff keeps up. So I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, for the basic, yeah, I saw
it's
that.
gonna be like
It's
writing
pretty-
code for us. We're gonna end up just being like code editors in the future. If we,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I've got a whole bunch of extensions. I don't even know what half of them do. Just left over from my boot
Other
camp, but
ones.
yeah, I definitely had like Prettier and Live Server, and I have like a spell checker and stuff on mine. So they're pretty handy.
Is Jesse in here? Did we lose him?
Not sure.
He's still in the call. I just don't know if he can hear us.
Yeah, I can hear. I'm trying to figure out how to go live on my this VS Code thing. I'm having issues with it. Like I can't get it to open into the
Oh,
browser.
like the live server?
Yeah, I mean I had the extension, but yeah, it's not. It keeps asking me to open a folder for
Oh,
it. So.
I had to do that too. So I clicked that and I pressed open folder. And then I just like chose like my documents folder and then created another folder in it called like OK Coders.
Oh, okay, I see.
And then once I had that, it let me like save my thing into that folder, I guess. It took me a while to figure that out too. Let me know if you still need help.
Awesome, thanks.
It's been a little bit since I've written just basic HTML. Here I can
It's been my whole life.
let me share my screen here.
So I think I have to make this button thing. Oh yeah, that's what I got too.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Oh man, you're even making a footer for the bottom too.
Yeah,
too-
it's like a
you're
habit,
too-
you know, it's just like
You're too pro,
you know,
dude.
I
Get
always
out of here.
it's like ingrained into me now.
I
even though
remember
don't
that from high school. I remember that.
Yeah. Okay, so he was wanting us to make that little Starbucks box thing. So
Yeah, it's like a little table button thing.
I'm just gonna do it might be an H1 actually. Do I'm just gonna copy and paste the text.
God dang it, where did Starbucks.com go?
Then we'll do an H2 here. We're gonna do an unordered list. We need or how to highlight rows. I'll have to remember some of my shortcuts again. Just do link counts. Save that. And then, open up live server. Let's see. Okay, so this is what mine looks like.
Cool. I'm on my way there slowly but surely. By cheating, by using Google. Just kidding. But I think that's like normal to do for people like in coding,
it's
right?
like half of it. Just I know he
like-
mentioned the Mozilla. It's I call it MDN.
But that's like normal thing for people, right?
yeah.
Like if you don't know stuff, cheat and like learn from others, like someone else's.
When I was doing my boot camp, I had like the docs like pulled up like all the time just to go back and like reference. So
Like remember like what it's called or something.
Yeah, like different tags and stuff like that. And
Gotcha.
I took
Yeah.
a lot of notes too, just on my computer. So
Every place I've worked, everyone steals each other's work. What do they say? Imitation's the highest form of flattery.
mhm.
Yeah.
Well, then like a lot of places that apparently have like standards set, so you have to code in a certain way. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I like. Is there like double spacing? Like everyone, I guess, does it differently, right? Like if they double space after, or I don't
I
know,
think,
like,
yeah.
you know what I
It's-
mean?
I think it just kind of depends on like where you're working and stuff. If you're doing like open source stuff, it's probably just individual type stuff. And then
That's double stars on Delta days. Nice. So you guys any good at your video games? What games do you play?
I've been playing a new Warhammer 40K game called Darktide.
Darktide,
lately.
yeah, dude. Yeah. I haven't been playing it lately, but me and my buddy bought that one when it came out and played it a lot like the first week. I loved it. It's
Yeah,
fun.
it's really cool. It's kind of it was in a bad state for a while, wasn't quite finished. But they just released like a crafting system and stuff in it and have been doing a bunch of bug fixes. So it's been a lot more playable lately.
Oh, so they like improved like the God, what do you call it? Like the way you get weapons and stuff, because that sucked.
It's
I
a
remember,
lot.
like-
It's a lot better now. It was really bad.
Yeah, I
when
remember
it
that.
released. I stopped playing for a couple months.
Yeah, it's pretty much what I did. And then they had that big patch, I think.
Yeah. I'm kind of a newer Warhammer guy though. I played Vermintide long time ago. I've been playing through like all that series, and it's the same people that made Darktide.
Mhm.
I mostly just play like online co-op games or single player. I try to stay away from like PvP, player versus player, multiplayer stuff now. So
I gotcha.
too time consuming.
Yeah, it
And I'm
is.
getting old, so I get destroyed by
Little kids are insane.
little
man.
16-year-olds on their
It's insane.
parents' laptops, so.
It's insane.
Getting old. What can you do? I did a brief little stint back in Overwatch for a little bit, and then I stopped. I was like, I'm not
See,
gonna.
me
not
too.
gonna
I
do it.
loved it. I loved it. And then like I was like, man, like ranked really just took it out of me. And I was
Yeah,
like,
it's not much fun. I played a
'Cause
lot of the first one, but the second one I wasn't really feeling it. So
I'm a support player too. So like
Hmm.
it really sucked. Cause like
Yeah,
I just kept losing because I
that ain't
suck.
much
And then
fun.
everyone else sucks. And I'm like, oh.
Mhm.
So
I just-
why sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying I mostly played tank, so
I got you.
I kind of feel you on that one. Not a lot you can do if your team is kind of not doing much. So
But do you know why is it I have an unordered list? How come I don't have a colon next to it? Like it's indented, but I don't see a colon. You know what I mean? Like a dot.
so you don't have like these?
Let me see. Yeah. Let me pull up you. Were you sharing your screen and whatever?
It should
Zoom?
be Zoom, yeah.
Let me see. Oh, that's why I don't have LI. That's what I did. Thank you.
Mhm.
I don't have the whatever that's called again. The LIs. Let's see, those are called
Just a list. I guess it's a list.
yeah,
item.
list item. That's right.
I don't know what extension this is, but this has always been pretty handy. You can just like highlight over these, and it kind of tells you what it is, and it'll take you to that Mozilla Docs website.
Oh, no kidding.
What is that extension? I'm wondering.
That sounds pretty sick. Oh god dang it! I have to do that for the next one too. All right, I can show you guys mine.
Sure.
I think I cheated though. I used the button thing off of Mozilla or whatever it's called. But I guess I guess that's a little bit different because I guess that one's using a style. Like favorite style, like I made it a style of a
Mhm.
button, I guess.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm kind of just talking to myself. Sorry if I'm
no worries.
okay. Is he still muted?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if I can show you mine. What did yours look like? Sorry, let me compare mine.
I'll,
Let me see. How do I show you mine?
this is what mine looked like.
Sorry, I'm so new with Zoom. I'm not. Yeah, mine looks. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and
Oh, I
talk
guess
about-
yours had a different break than
I'm
mine.
gonna steal the screen back from you guys.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sure.
So this is what mine looked like. I didn't follow the color exactly, but what is that?
Emojis.
Oh, that's the sign. I thought that was on my screen. So I didn't follow the color exactly, but it's pretty basic. So this is kind of just like a tiny little glimpse without, making it pretty or anything, and like what it would look like to work on a job. They'd say, hey, here's the design of what we want it to look like. Go make that. And so this is kind of like, I've got a thing, I know what it's supposed to look like, and I need to figure out how to build that in HTML, in code, right? And so that's just kind of most minuscule example of what it would be like to just what your job would be. Cool.
Could you pull up your reference code for that real
Yeah,
quick?
yeah, sure. I'll show you my code. So this is how I did it. I just did a div.
Style background code. That's how you did that. Okay.
Yeah, and we'll go into CSS on Wednesday, and we can even just bring this up again, and we'll try to make it look exactly how theirs look on Wednesday, at the end of Wednesday, if you want. Cool. I'm sure there's not so many ways you could probably do this. You could probably use something other than a P there, or use
That's cool.
different H3s, but that's kind of straightforward way to do it. Okay, cool. I think we have 8 minutes, and this is a good time to talk about my workflow whenever I'm working inside of VS Code. We kind of glanced over the extensions I used, but I think it's probably beneficial to use them because it makes your life so much easier. So one thing is if you hit Command comma on Mac, or probably maybe Control comma on Windows, this will open your preferences. And so you go to your extensions and you want to type prettier. This is like I think it'll tell me, yeah, it says 29 million downloads. So it's very widely used, and you can configure it to format your code however you want, but you'll just install that. And so what this does is it doesn't just handle HTML, it does JavaScript, it does React, it does everything that we'll learn all the way through this class. It'll look at your file type, look at the configuration on how you set it, and then format it properly. This is personal preference, but if you type format on save here, this is what I always check. So this means every time I hit save, it's going to basically take Prettier and then format that file using Prettier's configurations. So that means like if I have, everything all kinds of crazy, when I hit save, it'll automatically put everything how it thinks it needs to be. I did something weird here.
Okay.
I don't know what that came from. HTML head body. Oh, I was not. Nice, awesome, cool. Yeah, so that's Prettier. And format on save. Those are both very important into how I work, and I can't work without them.
Prettier and format.
A format on save, that's a VS Code preference. Yeah. That's in your settings right here. Awesome. And then the other things that I have that we talked about earlier are let me get out of this. Auto close tag, auto rename tag. You'll probably want to install those when you're working with HTML to make your life so much easier. I think if I remember right, that the environment here does that. Let's see. Body. No, it doesn't. So you're gonna be on hard mode here. I've one of my friends went through like OU's course and he needed help with his homework, right? And so he would, have something similar to this UI that he would have to work in the entire time. And so whenever I'd go to help him, I'm like, I cannot work like this. And so I would have him download VS Code, get all these extensions just to work his entire thing, format it, copy and paste it, and then paste it into his thing. So that's an option. I always format everything because it's so much easier to read, right? And having to manually type your closing tags and, oh, I accidentally spelled image IMAGE and it's supposed to be IMG, and then you have to rename it, and then you have to rename it twice. It just makes everything harder, right? I think those are the important ones. This is the one that Zach told me about, code spell checker. This will just put a blue squiggly anytime you type something wrong. It just has a pretty big dictionary and it's trying to match to that. You don't have to care about this stuff. ESLint we can get into when we get into JavaScript. This is just about linting and error checking and stuff like that for JavaScript. We don't have to care about that. None of the stuff we care about right now. You have live server. Yeah, that's good for now. So those are the things, and they'll make your life a lot easier. Yeah. So I'll do it the other way. So if you go to file, code, preferences. Oh, where is it? Profiles. What is this? Why is it going so deep? Just showing me the setting. Oh, there we go. Settings. Okay. So that takes you to this screen. And the shortcut for that is Command comma. So you just type format on save, and then that'll bring up this checkbox. And so you'll just make sure that that's checked. Yeah, there's also autosave. Some people do that. I hate working like that, but that also exists if you want it to just constantly save what you're doing. I think you can't do this. You can't have this and format on save at the same time. So you'll have to be manually formatting your files, because every time you would type something, it would try to format it and then would break, right? So I prefer to just hit Command save constantly and then let that format for me. Sweet. Okay, that's all I got, guys.
Oh, and it automatically puts the closing. The /
In the self-closing tags. Yeah. That's because of how it should be.
Cool, awesome. For any question? Like we show them pushing to the curriculum repo. So they can have an idea of what them.
Like me pushing?
Yeah, so everyone knows about the curriculum repo, right? So.
No.
Okay, show them the curriculum.
Yeah,
So
sure.
everything he just did in class, you'll have the recording that you can watch. You'll also be able to reference and download any of the files that he generates. And so all the stuff that we're doing is in this curriculum repo. But we can post that in Slack.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it already up there? Yeah. Bookmark it. So everything we do is in this curriculum repository for class. You can always reference the class materials. Go ahead and pull it, but we zoom in a little bit. So we're in module 1. So if you want to see what we did, you go to module 1, and then we're in day 1. So you go to day 1, and then he just has his notes for what he wanted to do today, and in there at the moment, and then he literally just coded everything we saw today, right? So he'll update this repo with what we did today, and so he's doing command line stuff now, and it's like fancy and cool. And he's like, this is something that you'll learn eventually what he's doing right now. But this is what coders use to basically save their work and distribute our work. And so GitHub is something every developer uses pretty much. And so he just updated our curriculum GitHub repo to basically, see, he did all that stuff on his computer, and so he's syncing it with GitHub. So now you can see he just did you already push?
Oh, there it goes.
So you can see he just updated day one, so now there's like day two as well.
Oh, it's in day two. I put it under day
Oh,
one.
it is-
It is day two.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can see, the stuff we just did is there, so you can go reference his file in that code. Cool, okay. So I think the curriculum GitHub repo is super important in the Slack. Those are like the two main things to be referenced. Okay, and then do you know what the homework is?
Yeah. So the homework before Wednesday is going to be the next project. So that will be just this CSS building a cafe menu. Sweet.
Okay, and then I recommend trying to do the homework before Wednesday, but people's schedules, that may not work. So just always try to keep up with the week. So we'll have the homework that needs to get done by Saturday. So if for some reason your schedules need you to get stuff done, like before each class, just try to stay up to date.
Nice.
Okay, if anybody is like has an issue with their setup, or there's any questions that you have, we're happy to stay for a while after each class, to catch anybody up or to fix any issues that you have. So we'll do that now, but thank you guys so much. It's great to see all of you. There's some technical issues. We'll get them all done. Thank you all. No.
Where do I put
No, you put it in your, so it's not, you're on your shit.
That's one thing.
Like it did with the grade. Are you?
Wow, it's much faster to install. What I'm getting right now. But it's, yeah.